Welcome to the wild world of AI, where if you blink, you'll miss a dozen updates and maybe even lose your side hustle as grandma's go-to geek squad. For beginners, it feels like trying to hop on a train already speeding at 1,000 miles an hour. So today, I'm hitting the brakes and giving you the ultimate beginner's guide to ChatGPT, and we're gonna discuss how to actually use it without accidentally proposing to it. So let's get into it. Let's start by breaking down the various pricing tiers so you know which plan is best for you. Now, there's a total of 5 different plans. You've got free, plus, pro, business, and ChatGPT Enterprise. For most people, you're just gonna either want the free plan or the plus plan, unless you use AI a ton or you have very specific business needs that only the business plan has. On the free plan, you do get access to GPT-5. However, they only allow you to have 10 messages per 5 hours on the free plan. And then after you've used your 10 messages, you can still chat with it. It just lowers you down to a faster but kind of dumber model. On the free plan, you can also use GPT-5's thinking capabilities for tougher prompts, but you only can do it once per day on the free model. If you want to generate videos or images, well, the free plan will generate a limited amount of images per day on a sort of slower image generation model, and the free plan does not have access to Sora for video generation. Now, if you upgrade to the plus plan, the $20 per month plan, once again, you get access to GPT-5 and you get 160 messages every 4 hours, which for the majority of people will be absolutely plenty. You also can use the advanced thinking GPT-5 on this one, and instead of just once a day, like you get on the free plan, you get 3,000 per week. You also get a better, faster image generator. You get access to Sora video generation, although if you have Sora on the plus plan, you can generate 5 seconds at 720p or 10 seconds at the lower resolution of 480p. So you don't get the best Sora video generation model on the plus plan. You also get access to Codex, which is their sort of coding platform, and agent mode, which will actually use a browser on your behalf. It does say the plus plan includes projects, but projects are now also available on the free plan. They just haven't updated this page yet. And then if you want to shell out $200 per month, you get GPT-5, unlimited access to all the GPT-5 models, including their best thinking model, which isn't even available inside of Plus, unlimited faster image creation, a better version of Sora video, which will actually generate up to 20 seconds at 1080p, and they won't have a watermark on them. And again, access to the agent mode, the Codex agent, and any new features that they roll out, typically roll out into the pro plan first before eventually going into the plus plan and then finally going into the free plan. So the higher the tier you pay for, the quicker the access you get to new features. Again, I would say for the majority of the world, you're gonna be fine on the free plan. And if you do find yourself hitting limits where the amount of messages it gives you isn't quite enough, then the $20 per month is going to be probably the best for everybody. And very, very few people, unless you're a power user of AI like I am and some of the other YouTubers that talk about AI, you probably don't actually need the $200 a month plan. Get started on the free plan. If you hit limitations, then consider upgrading. That would be my advice. All right, now let's dial in our ChatGPT account. To start, I'm actually logged in on a free account. So what you're seeing right now is a completely free account. You can see down in the bottom left here. The most common question that OpenAI gets, their number one question that they get to their technical support or wherever, is all about privacy controls. How do I make sure whatever I'm saying doesn't actually get sent off to OpenAI? And since that's the number one most asked question, let's talk about that first. If you click on your name down in the bottom left here, and I click on settings, and then I click on data controls here, you can see that you have the option to improve the models for everyone. And it's turned on by default. If I turn this off, improve the model for everyone, you can see that what this is doing is it's no longer allowing my content to be used to train the models. So again, if you want to make sure your data doesn't go back to ChatGPT to train the models, you can turn this off. Now, I'm a power user. I give a lot of feedback to them. So I like to leave it on. I have no problem with what I'm putting into the chat box making its way back to OpenAI. If you ever want to completely close your ChatGPT account and not use it anymore, they do have an option to export your data, which will export all of your past chats so you have logs and records of all the chats that you've had with them. Then you can delete all your chats if you want, and then you can go to the account page and delete your account. So that option is always available to you. Now, if there's just specific chats that you want to make sure they don't get back in the training data, it doesn't save it in your chat history. It's basically an incognito window for your chats. You can click on this button up in the top right called temporary chat. If I turn this on, you can see that our chat will not go into history. It won't help train their models, and it won't save anything we say into ChatGPT's memory to pull up later in future discussions. So nothing is getting saved here. That's the option if you don't want to turn it off across the board, but just on specific chats. You just turn on temporary chat, AKA ChatGPT's incognito mode. While you're getting your account set up, you can also give it some custom instructions to better tailor it to respond how you'd want it to respond. So again, if I come down to the bottom here, click on my name, there's a button that says Customize ChatGPT. If I click Customize ChatGPT, we can give it a bunch of instructions on how we want ChatGPT to respond to us. We can tell it what name we want it to call you. So mine, you'll notice it always says, "Hey, Matt," or Matt is always in the reply. That's because I told it what to call me. It asks, "What do you do?" So I would put, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a teacher, I'm a whatever role you play, you'd put it here so it has that context. You have the option to change the personality to a cynic, a robot, a listener, or a nerd. I just keep it on default, but feel free to play with these and see if you like the way it responds a little better. Now, this is what I think is really valuable here, is what traits should ChatGPT have? So I just jumped over to my main account here so I can show you how I have a lot of these settings set up. Here's what I described. I said, skip the formalities about being an AI chat model. Address me as Matt. When a long explanation is required, give me long explanations. If a really short and concise answer will do, I prefer that. So I'm telling it, only give me long answers if you need to. And then since I'm a YouTuber and I ask a lot of questions about titles and thumbnails and things, I gave it the extra context. If I ever ask for ideas for YouTube titles, be sure to suggest only titles that are 50 characters or less. So now when I'm brainstorming YouTube titles, it only suggests titles that are 50 characters or less, no matter what, because it knows this inside of the custom instructions. And then down here, it says anything else ChatGPT should know about you. And I gave it some extra details that could help inform the decisions when it's giving me replies. So imagine these things are going into every single prompt that you give ChatGPT. So if you just ask like a one sentence question to ChatGPT, it'll ask that question, but then also feed it this information and this information. And if any of it's relevant, we'll also use that information in your prompt. So down here, I gave it details like I'm based in San Diego, full-time YouTuber, make my money through AdSense and sponsorships, and some of the focuses I have around my channel, and just some additional context about me that ChatGPT might find helpful for the various questions I ask it. Definitely fill out this as early as you can to make sure that you design and tailor ChatGPT to be what you want it to be. And then down under advanced, you have the option to turn on some ChatGPT capabilities. If they're not on already, I would turn them all on. Web search is probably gonna be the one you use the most. And if you do a lot of vibe coding and stuff like that, well, you can write code in here. You'll want the advanced voice on as well if you ever decide to use the voice mode and chat with it. And Canvas we'll get to in a minute, but it's like a editor sort of inside of ChatGPT. I would just turn them all on. While we're dialing this all in and getting it to be the ChatGPT we want it to be, I would also go into the settings here and go to personalization and make sure that referenced save memories is on and referenced chat history is on. Now, you don't have to do this, but I find this to be really, really beneficial because it uses past conversations you've had with ChatGPT for context of your current conversations. And I found this really helpful for things like, let's say I am using ChatGPT to give me fitness advice. Well, it knows what workout routine it recommended to me yesterday. So when I ask it again today, it's not going to recommend the same workout routine because it knew what it recommended yesterday. So things like that I find really helpful. Now, if it remembers things that you're like, man, I wish you did not remember that, like remove that from my ChatGPT, you can actually manage the memories. You click in here and all of the memories that it's saved about you are in here, and you can go ahead and delete any of those memories or clear them all if you want. Now, if you have one of the paid plans, you'll see this checkbox here. This isn't going to be available on the free model, but if you are on the $20 or $200 a month model, you will see this, and I recommend turning this on. If this is off, up at the top, my ChatGPT 5 dropdown will show some models. It'll have the instant model, a thinking model, and a pro model. And then under legacy models, you'll be able to select GPT-4o. But if you do want to play around with additional models and see if maybe there's a model that you prefer better over the default, turning on show additional models inside of the general tab inside of your settings will give you quite a bit more models to play with. So you have 4.0, 4.1, 4.5, 03, 04 mini, and more here. Now, I am on the pro plan, the $200 a month plan. So I'm probably seeing more models here than you'll see on the $20 a month plan, but if there's some models that aren't showing, turn on that switch and it will update it to give you access to even more models. Inside the settings, you also have access to connectors to connect to things like GitHub, Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Dropbox, Canva, all of these things. To be honest, I don't use the connectors very often. You might find them helpful, something to play with. They haven't been extremely useful for me, but it is connected to my Google Calendar and my email and things like that. So I can ask it questions about, are there any important emails I need to focus on right now? Or how busy is my schedule next week? Now, I can ask it this question, but I do need to make sure that if I do ask it a question like this, I turn on the connector by clicking on the plus, going to use connectors, and then under sources, you have options for your various connectors. So it does search Google Calendar automatically, but if you're trying to get it to search GitHub or Google Drive or something like that, you will need to switch it on. Have you ever felt like your marketing playbook stopped working overnight? Traffic's down, AI is rewriting the rules, and you're stuck guessing which prompts, messages, and channels will actually move the needle? It's frustrating, and it wastes time and budget. That's why I partner with HubSpot to share their Loop marketing prompt library. It's 100 engineered AI prompts built for the way growth really works now across 4 stages: express, tailor, amplify, and evolve. You'll get battle-tested prompts like the brand differentiation analyzer to nail your positioning, a competitor gap finder to uncover angles you can own, a customer journey mapper to fix drop-offs, and an intent signal identifier to spot ready-to-buy moments. No more generic chat prompts. This is structured, step-by-step guidance you can drop straight into your workflow. If you want to stop guessing and start shipping smarter experiments that compound, grab the Loop prompt library through the link in the description. It's free, and it'll make your next campaign measurably better. Thanks so much to HubSpot for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to it. All right, now that you've picked your pricing model and you've got all of your settings dialed in so that ChatGPT performs the way you want it to, let's go over some more prompting tips to get the best out of ChatGPT. Tip number 1, make sure you're using the right model for the job. If it's a real simple question to answer and doesn't really need to think through math or logic, just use the auto selector or the instant answer where it gives you an answer right away. If it's a more complex problem that might require math or logic, then use one of the thinking models. Now, this is inside the paid plan. If you're in the free plan and you want to use the thinking model, you'll notice that you don't have the same options up here on the free plan. So instead, you do it by clicking on this plus and clicking on think longer. With this think longer selected, you'll be using the thinking model, but remember, you do have a limit to how often you can use the thinking model on the free plan. So if I give a prompt like solve this step by step, if a train leaves at 9:15 going 65 miles per hour and another leaves at 10 a.m. going 80 miles per hour, when will they meet? If the first has a 45-minute head start. They're both headed in the same direction with the same end destination. Assume they are on tracks side by side. Now, if I use the instant model here, the very fast model, and submit this, we can see that it worked through the math and eventually came up with the answer. They'll meet each other at 1:15. Now, I don't know if that's the correct answer or not, but it did this really, really fast and didn't think too hard about it. Now, if I paste in this same prompt, but this time switch it to the thinking model and submit it, we'll see that it actually takes time to really think it through. It thought for a little bit longer and did come up with the same answer. So I guess this question wasn't too complex of a question for it to figure out. Just keep in mind that if there's a lot of math or logic involved, turn on thinking. If it's an easy question that doesn't require math or logic, you won't need thinking. It's probably not going to benefit you too much. Tip number 2, use the projects. Projects are amazing. These are like folders that organize various chats together. If I come over here and click on new project, I could give it a name. Let's just call this one demo project, and then create the project. Once you've created a project, you can add files to this project, so you can drag and drop text files or images or PDFs or whatever into the project files. And then every chat that you have inside of this project is going to use that information while you're chatting with it. But what I really like these projects for is that you can give custom instructions for every single project that are individualized to that project. So if I click the 3 dots in the top right, click on add instructions, I can give custom instructions that only happen during this project. So for example, if I wanted to build a health coach, I can put a bunch of information in here telling it that it's a health coach and that every prompt I give it is going to be related to health and that it should follow instructions related to that. Another new thing that they just sort of sneakily rolled out and didn't really make any sort of announcement about is the fact that you can have memory that just lives in one of those projects. So again, if I click new project, I'm just gonna call this one test project, and then click on the little gear icon. Under memory, you have the option for default, project can access memories from outside of the chats. So it will access memory from any of my other projects, any of my chats, or you can set project only memory. So it will only remember past chats that you had within just that project. And this is really, really powerful because it will make it so you have like your own separate individual ChatGPT area for a single topic that doesn't listen to any of the noise of the other chats you're having. Really, really powerful. I wish they made it so you could turn it on after you've already built the project, but once you save the project, you are locked into whatever option you set here. So some of my old projects where I wish it had project only memory, I don't have it turned on because it wasn't available when I built those projects, unfortunately. But here's an example of a project that I've created, and as you can see, I use quite often. You'll notice there's one file in here that I uploaded. I don't believe I can open this file and show it to you, but what is in this file is information on my health. I gave it information about the supplements I take every morning. I gave it information about my diet. I gave it information about my height and weight, my age. I gave it details about my lifestyle, what exercises I like doing, which ones I don't like doing. And I just dumped a bunch of information into a text file so it can use that as context of my discussions and kind of know about me. And then up here, I did set custom instructions as well. You are a personal health coach. User will share progress reports and keep the custom instructions with the latest relevant info to the health journey. You will help with crafting custom meal plans, custom workout routines, supplement stacks, etc., etc. And then I actually plugged in some more details. My name's Matt. I often feel too busy to work out or cook meals, etc. So I gave it custom instructions on what this project should be. And now whenever I chat inside of this health coach project, it knows all about my personal health information because of the file I uploaded, and it knows how to respond because of the custom instructions telling it that it's a health coach that helps me with what my next steps on my health journey are. So projects, super powerful. I've started building out projects for almost every discussion I have. I have a health coach. I have a journal where I journal directly in here and then it gives me feedback on my journal. I've got an investment advisor where I ask it for advice on various investments I'm thinking about making. I do a lot of sponsorships for HubSpot. I've got one that actually writes the integrations for me. I've got one that writes short scripts. I've built out tons of projects and I use them all the time. Most of the time, if I'm chatting within a project and not just by clicking new chat up here because it's sort of bundling things for me in a nice, tidy area. And this projects used to be only on the paid plans, but the projects is now a free feature as well. So even if you're on a free plan, you have the ability to use projects. Probably one of the most powerful but underrated features of ChatGPT, in my opinion, is projects. Use them, they're really cool. Tip number 3, just use natural language and talk to it like you're messaging somebody on Slack. I think a lot of people try to overcomplicate and prompt engineer when you don't really need to for most cases. Just asking for help like you would ask a friend for help over a text message works just fine. Example, I've got 2 hours to cook dinner tonight. What's something simple but impressive I could make for my family? It gave me a few good options and I'm ready to cook. Tip number 4, ask direct questions, not vague questions. So instead of a prompt like, tell me something about baking, you'll get a much better result out of a prompt like, what are the 5 key steps to baking a sourdough loaf at home? This is clearly going to get you much closer to the outcome you actually want. Tip number 5. Be specific and give context. Sometimes you can just put this in the custom instructions so it does this every time. But if you want just this specific chat to focus on a specific area, think about the role of the chatbot, the audience the chatbot is speaking back to, the length you want, the style you want it to respond in, and do's and don'ts of how you want the output to be. You don't have to plug all of those in every single time you prompt, but the more detail you can give, the better the response you're gonna get. A good example, act like a travel guide, plan a 3-day New York trip for a family with kids under 10. We don't want museums, but love parks, food, and quirky activities. Show it in a table by day. So we're even giving the output style. And just like that, it gives us an output in a table format that includes the additional criteria that we gave it. Tip number 6 is along the same lines. Tell it what format you want the output to be in. So maybe you want a table or a bulleted list, or maybe you want JSON. It can do any of that. You just need to tell it to. So for example, make me a workout plan in a table with columns for day, workout, sets, reps, and notes. It'll give me a table back in that same format. And then I could say, if I want, convert this to JSON for me. And we can see it will write the same content, but in a JSON format. Tip number 7, give it both good and bad examples of what you want the output to be. Doing this will ensure that it knows exactly what you're looking for and that it's not going to give you some vague response that you didn't ask for. Here's an example. You're my copy coach. I want 5 hooks that follow this good style and avoid the bad style. Good. I asked 3 AIs the same question, only one got it right. And here's the reason why this is good. It's got a clear tease with stakes. Bad, AI is interesting and changing everything. It's very vague and very low stakes. Now write 5 hooks for a video on GPT-5 hidden features, matching good and avoiding bad. So we're telling it what we want as well as what we don't want. And it gives us 5 decent hooks that follow our good style and avoid the bad style. Tip number 8. Don't assume that ChatGPT's first try is the best it can do. For example, I gave it a prompt to write me a 60-second YouTube intro script about AI in schools. It wrote me this script, but maybe I'm not super happy with this script. Well, ChatGPT is very good at iterating off of what it just built. So I can give it a prompt like tighten it so it feels more energetic, less formal, and under 100 words. It will take this original script here and make the tweaks that I asked it to make in my new script. So keep iterating after your first prompt. Don't just accept the very first prompt it gives you. Tip number 9, use the new branching feature. You can actually start separating off into different branches of your conversation. So let's say I don't like this tightened up version that it made. I can come back to the original version that it wrote, click on these 3 little dots, and branch in new chat. If I click this, it starts off the chat from here and drops the second response that we gave. This time I can say, make it funnier, add a bunch of jokes. And now I've branched off a new version with our jokes. So I can come here, see our original script, our tightened up 100-word script, and then I can click on this second chat, again, see our original, see where it branched off from, and then see our second funnier script. So we can always have like a save point that we can jump back to and continue the chat from those save points, which is a pretty cool new feature that I think was much needed. If you're working on a much bigger project, you can actually chunk it into multiple steps and tell ChatGPT all of the steps from the beginning, but just have it work through one step at a time. For example, we're writing a sponsor read that promotes ChatGPT. It should be 45 to 60 seconds and work it in stages. Stage 1. Write the brief. Stage 2, the outline. Stage 3, the draft. But start with stage 1 only. So from the very beginning of this chat thread, we're telling it all 3 stages we're eventually going to get to, but we're telling it just start with this first stage. So we can go ahead and submit this, and we can see that it gave us a quick brief. Who's the audience? What's the promise? What's the tone? The value hook? And then the CTA, and then it says, want me to move on to stage 2 outline. I don't need to type anything but yes, unless I had feedback on the brief. So let's just say yes, and then it'll move on to stage 2 and write our whole outline for us. Working through in steps like this ensures that larger processes sort of go more smoothly because you're breaking them up into smaller steps that's easier for the bot to understand. All right, so now we've got our intro line, our proof point 1, 2, and 3, And then our CTA, our call to action. Want me to move to step 3? Yes. And just like that, it wrote the script for us. If you wanted to do an even better job and really think through the script, you can actually turn on thinking modes and actually have it think a little bit harder during each step and probably get an even better result. But bigger projects, you can chunk out into multiple steps and you'll likely get much more impressive end results from them. You can also ask ChatGPT to make assumptions for you and then help correct the assumptions. So here's an example. I'd like to make a marketing plan for a small coffee shop. But first, list the assumptions you're making about the shop, budget, and location. Let's let ChatGPT tell us what it thinks we're trying to make, and then we'll correct it and sort of steer it in the right direction. So it's making assumptions about the shop, the size, what we offer, brand positioning, assumptions about the location, assumptions about our budget. Now that we know how ChatGPT would sort of default assume things about this, we can go in and correct any information that it has incorrect in here. And we're starting off from a much better starting point because now ChatGPT is going to better understand the exact business we're trying to build and will be able to much better give us a marketing plan. So if you're ever worried that you didn't give enough details, ask it to give you back any assumptions that it currently has, and then you can close those gaps for ChatGPT. You can also ask ChatGPT to ask you questions to help it better do its job. For example, I want to start a side hustle. Ask me 5 questions that will help you give me the best possible ideas. And we get our 5 questions. How many hours per week can you dedicate? What's your budget? Do you want to leverage existing skills? What is your income goals and your work style? Do you prefer online digital or something more hands-on? If I answer all of these questions, it can start recommending various side hustles for me. And I don't need to give too much detail. For time commitment, I can just put a 1 and say 5 hours per week. For budget, let's say $500 a month. I want to leverage AI. Let's say I want to make $3K a month, and I prefer to work from home at my computer. It knows the context of the 5 questions, so I don't need to give it much more than that. And just like that, I've got a bunch of side hustle ideas that fit into the criteria that I gave it. If you want to steal any of them and use them for yourself, feel free to pause and look at the screen right now. I just minimized it so you can see it better. Tip number 13, if you're getting facts, make sure you verify the facts because AI will hallucinate and confidently make up stuff and make you think that what it's telling you is true when sometimes it isn't. If I plug in the prompt, what are the top 3 best-selling electric cars in 2025? It should automatically search the web, and it is. And then it found this information for me. The Tesla Model Y, Tesla Model 3, and the BYD Seagull, which is interesting because I've never even heard of it. But see these little links off to the side? These are the sources. So if you're unsure if it got something right, make sure you click on this source and see if the source is actually a good, accurate source. Because when you're dealing with facts, again, AI might make stuff up sometimes or pull old information. It might pull information from 2022 when we ask it a question about 2025. So definitely double check, especially if it's going into like a YouTube video or blog post or a podcast or a live presentation or a slide deck or something like that. Make sure your facts are right. Because again, AI will confidently mislead you from time to time. Tip number 14, you can use files instead of ChatGPT. This is actually one of my favorite uses of just AI in general, is taking long, complex documents and getting it to simplify them for you. So here's an example of a paper that OpenAI put out called Why Language Models Hallucinate. And it is a 36-page report on why the models actually hallucinate, filled with math that I can't even begin to understand myself. But if I take this research paper, drop it into ChatGPT here, and then accompany it with a prompt like, here's a PDF of a research paper, summarize it into 5 key takeaways and cite page numbers, it will read the document for me and give me the 5 key takeaways. Hallucinations are statistical and not mysterious. That's mentioned on pages 1 through 3, and then again on pages 6 through 7. Pre-training inevitably produces errors, tells us which page to find that information on, etc., etc. And you can plug any PDF document into this and have it summarize it for you. And then you can do things like explain this paper like I'm 5. And then it gives you a really dumbed down version so dum-dums like me can understand what it actually all means. Tip number 15. use the canvas feature inside of ChatGPT. Not familiar with the canvas feature? Well, let's give it a prompt like create a script for a fictional short film about werewolves. And then under the plus here, go down to mode and then turn on the canvas so it uses the canvas feature. Now, when I submit this, you'll see that it creates this like sub-document inside of ChatGPT with our script. This is the canvas. Once it's done writing our script within the canvas, we can download our script, we can copy it, or we can edit it. So if I click edit, you can see that it moved my chat over to the left sidebar. And now this is an editable document. I can add more text in here and build off of what it created directly inside of ChatGPT. I can also let AI help with the editing of what it already created. Down in the bottom right, there's this little button that if I hover over it, it gives me extra options like suggest edits, adjust the length, change the reading level, add final polish, or add emojis. Let's go ahead and change the reading level. I'll click the reading level button, and then there's just basically a little slider that I can go all the way up to graduate school, all the way down to kindergarten, and let's go to high school reading level. Click one more time to submit and watch. We'll actually see it edit in real time. We can see this little hover as it's going down and editing our text for us. And now we have an edited version because our chat on the left told us it edited it for us. Another really cool feature is, let's say I don't really like this chunk right here. Well, I can go to the right and this little plus comes up and I can edit just this right here. Let's say make this part funny. Submit that and we can see I'm not touching anything. It just edited that little section to make it funnier. So that's what the canvas does. It works really good for editing text. And this is also what you would see if you were messing with code. It will open up the code in Canvas as well. Tip number 16, slightly redundant, but you can use the temporary chat if you want to have a chat session that it doesn't remember. I already mentioned that, already chatted about that, but that feature is available if you want to ask about that weird mole on your nether region and you don't want it saved in your chat history. Well, you can use that for it. You can upload images as well. If I upload this image here of a bunch of people that were at an event with me and I said, how many people are in this image, I can let it count for me. And it counted 20 people in the image. I just double checked myself and there's 19. And again, another reason why you always want to double check its work. Now, if I turn on thinking and ask it again, well, it thought for 3.5 minutes and still was off by 1. But it's interesting looking through the thinking. It was trying to do a bunch of math and calculate the location of each face. And somehow it managed to count 20 people both times. Again, double check its work. For whatever reason with math and counting, it sometimes gets hung up. But one thing it is good at is it can read text on a screen really, really well. So I was watching a YouTube video the other day and they actually put a prompt on the screen. They didn't put it in the description or anywhere you could copy and paste the prompt. It was just shown on the screen and I wanted to copy and paste and test the prompt. So I screenshotted the YouTube video where the prompt was shown and said, please OCR this text for me and tell me what it says. OCR stands for optical character recognition. It's basically like a way of looking at an image and pulling the text from the image. That's a simplified explanation. And you can see it just gave me the text of the prompt back where I can copy and paste it into wherever I wanted. So it can understand images, but maybe can't always count the faces. And then tip number 18 is to actually use ChatGPT to help you come up with prompts for ChatGPT. For example, I want to build a successful work from home business. What are some amazing prompts that I can ask that will help get me going in the right direction? If I give it this, it will give me prompts that I can then turn around and give back to ChatGPT. And we can see here that this is how it structures the prompts when you ask it to write prompts for you. Given my skills in X, what are 10 work from home business models that are profitable in 2025? Act like a business strategist. Help me choose a business that fits my time commitment, income goals, personality. Validating demand, prompts around that. Designing the model, prompts around that. Automating and scaling, mindset and execution. So it is flat out telling you, here's how you prompt me to get the best possible responses. All right, now in the final part of this video, I want to kind of rapid fire some of my favorite prompts that I think a new user of ChatGPT should go try to really find out what it's capable of. Number 1, rewrite an email. Rewrite this email to be friendly, concise, and 120 to 150 words. Keep my request and deadline, then give a subject line. And then right below this, you would paste in the email that you want rewritten so that it has that look and feel you're going for. Number 2, summarize the attached article in 5 bullets for a non-technical reader. Include 2 quotes worth sharing. We already kind of demoed this when we looked at uploading PDFs. Learning a topic. Explain topic to me like I'm new to it. Then give me a 5-question quiz and answer key. So for example, the topic could be quantum computing. Brainstorming ideas. Give 10 ideas for goal, for each a 1-sentence idea, who it helps, and the first step. So example, give 10 ideas for an AI tweet thread. Create a table out of some information. Turn this text into a table with columns, task, owner, deadline, risk. Watch it as it creates tables like we saw earlier in the video. Creating outlines. Make a 10-point outline for a 5-minute talk on, let's say, AI tools. Ask me 3 questions before drafting. It'll give me 3 questions. I answer the questions. It will draft an outline for a 5-minute talk based on that. Do an editing pass on work that you've already written. Edit this script for clarity and flow. Keep my tone. Return a diff style list of changes. You can use it to analyze data in a spreadsheet. From the uploaded CSV, list 3 insights and 2 follow-up questions, then propose 1 chart. It can be used for translation. Translate to your desired language, keeping humor and casual tone. Flag any culture-specific phrases. It could be a personal coach. Act as a role, ask me 5 diagnostic questions, then give a 7-day plan I can follow. For example, act as a health coach. Ask me 5 diagnostic questions, etc. And one that I use constantly is comparing products against each other. So for example, make a table comparing the iPhone 16 Pro and Google Pixel 10. And this works so well if you're trying to debate between 2 different products. But that's it. That is the complete beginner's guide to using ChatGPT. Everything that I think a new user of this tool should know. If there's any takeaways that I really want you to take from this, is that you should talk to it like a person that you would talk to on Slack or a text message. Use projects to organize your conversations and create specific little buckets of memory and context so that when you're inside of that project, it just uses the information from within that project. Super, super helpful. And don't always take everything ChatGPT tells you as fact. You definitely still want to double check it because it will hallucinate and kind of gaslight you sometimes. But I think once you learn to just chat with it like you're chatting with another human over Slack or text message, that's when it really unlocks and it starts to feel like you're chatting with a good friend who understands you and your business and can really, really help you out. And it feels more and more powerful. I was at an event recently and I talked to somebody who had never used ChatGPT in their life. They've never once opened it up and tried it and entered a single prompt, which inspired me to make this video. But I also wanted to make sure that if somebody did want to use it for the first time, they have a resource to go and learn the best ways to use it, what to expect, and to also help them realize that it isn't a end-all be-all super intelligence that knows everything. It still has some flaws and some areas that it will struggle with. Now, if you do want to deep dive into more advanced prompt engineering tips and be in the top like 0.01% of all prompt engineers and ChatGPT users, I made a video with even deeper dives on various ChatGPT prompting techniques. You can find the video over on my YouTube channel. It's called The Most Powerful ChatGPT Prompts Right Now. Again, that moves into much more advanced prompting strategies and really deep dives into how you can get the absolute most out of ChatGPT. So check that video out if you haven't already. But thank you so much for tuning into this one. Hopefully you learned a lot, even if you aren't a total ChatGPT noob. I'm sure there's some tips that you got out of this one that maybe you hadn't thought of. And regardless, thank you so much for spending your time with me, nerding out with me, and learning about ChatGPT with me. I have a blast making these videos, and I really, really appreciate everyone that watches this channel and wants to learn from me. I'm here to help, and my goal with every video is to be as helpful as possible. So hopefully I accomplish that goal with this video, and hopefully you click that like button and that subscribe button, and I'll see you in a future video. Thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for nerding out with me today. If you like videos like this, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I'll make sure more videos like this show up in your YouTube feed. And if you haven't already, check out futuretools.io, where I share all the coolest AI tools and all the latest AI news. And there's an awesome free newsletter. Thanks again. Really appreciate you. See you in the next one.